So what if I told you you could start a print farm for less than $2,000? Would you do it? Or would you hold off because you're not sure if you can sell the prints, or you don't know what to print, or because you don't know what machine to buy that's quality and that can get you there? I get it. So in this video, I'm going to go over a little bit about the print farm part, but mostly I'm going to cover the machine that can get you there. Because without the right machine, none of the other stuff really matters. If you use the code in the description, you can get these things for 170 bucks on AliExpress right now. Now, if you wait, then later on, they're $199. But still, that's $2,000 or $1,700, one of the two. So I know what you're probably thinking. In 2026, isn't 3D printing oversaturated? You really can't sell parts. Everybody's printing fidget spinners and dragons and all this stuff, right? And honestly, the answer is yes, it's saturated, but it's not oversaturated. It's nowhere near, honestly. In 2026, you can literally print anything, post it online somewhere, and someone's gonna buy it. So could you print fidget spinners and dragons and stuff and sell some? Yeah. But you're also backing yourself into a corner. Now, are there things that you could probably print that would sell faster and more? Yeah. And that's where you want to be. So the best thing to do is position yourself where you can actually make the money. And you do that by choosing products that appeal to a lot of people. Yes, fidget spinners are cool, but they only appeal to certain people. You need to try to find products that appeal to the masses. And yeah, there's no one product that appeals to everybody, but there are products that you can choose that'll put you in a way better position than the others. I can tell you that. So we'll cover more about that in a little bit, but let's talk about the machine, because choosing the right machine for your print farm is going to be mission critical, number one. And honestly, the reason why I even decided to make this video is because of the Anycubic Kobra 4 that just released. I honestly think that with the Kobra 4 and its pricing, it could be the next print farm king, hands down. And there's a few reasons why I say that. Before you guys jump in the comments, hold on. I've had the Anycubic Kobra 4 for the last couple of weeks, and I've put it through the motions just like I do every other printer that comes through here. And just from unboxing this printer and onto the first few prints, I noticed something very quickly. As soon as I unboxed this printer, I noticed the build quality. And I knew right away when I was putting this thing together that it was gonna put out some super high quality prints. And here's why. So if you look at the build of the Kobra 4, it's got this milled aluminum, these solid Z-rod structures that are made out of cast aluminum, I believe, but they're all metal. Even the cross top bar is metal. Everything about the frame on this printer screams super sturdy, structurally sound, ready to go for high quality prints without a lot of movement deviations and stuff that end up in your print quality. And sure enough, as soon as I did a first layer test, I saw that quality immediately. This printer put out a perfect first layer every single time. I mean, it laid down such a beautiful first layer. And just like building a house, we all know that the first layer is the foundation to any good print. And I gotta be honest, I was a little skeptical at first because I thought, okay, cool, out of the box, yeah, it's printing great. But let's see a week or two from now what it's doing then after I've moved it around, after I've ripped the bed off of it and did all this, you know, just general printing stuff. And here we are a few weeks later and it's just like day one. I mean, if you look at the quality of the prints on this thing, depending on which filament you use, honestly, it's hard to even tell that it's 3D printed. Now, granted, some filaments hide layer lines better than others, no matter what printer you're using. But I do a lot of printing and I know a good quality print when I see one. It's not hard to spot. Hey, real quick, when you're done watching this video, do me a favor. Go to our Kickstarter, check out Slicer Ninja. I built Slicer Ninja and it's fully funded on Kickstarter. It's a thing, it's coming. We're actively building on it every day. I've got a dev team working on it. It fully automates everything. It removes the headache of even having to deal with slicer settings. So you'll be able to take your STL model from wherever you get it from, upload it to Slicer Ninja. It does its thing and then it gives you back a file that you can then take to any slicer that you want. I'm also adding Color Ninja. It's a coloring model that allows you to color your models, impose images onto your print, and do full color gradients right there in Slicer Ninja. It's a lot easier to work with than the paint option in most slicers. So go check it out. You can still back it. And if we get to 40,000, I'm releasing new features. And if you already backed it, thank you for your support. I can't wait to show you guys Slicer Ninja. back to the video. So let me run down the specs of the machine real quick, just so you know what we're talking about here. So the Kobra 4 has a build volume of 260 by 260 by 260. The hot end goes up to 300 and the bed goes up to 100. Standard stuff, right? It's also got a time-lapse monitoring camera and all the basic AI features that you see in printers nowadays. Spaghetti detection, AI detection, object on build plate detection, all the good stuff. And it's also got auto resume, so if the power goes out, you're not going to lose your print. It's got auto bed leveling, resonance compensation, input shaping, and honestly, it's got pretty much every feature that all these $1,000 printers have. Now, just like every other 3D printer, if you're thinking you're going to get a really nice camera, yeah, you're wrong. The cameras on pretty much every 3D printer that's on the market today are trash, as are the LEDs. It's just what it is. So if you're gonna run a print farm, honestly, you wouldn't rely on the print head camera anyways. You'll want a camera that can monitor all your printers at once. So you'll probably end up doing an external cam that watches all your printers at once anyways. But if you do need to monitor individual printers, you can do that with the Anycubic app. And the really good thing about these printers is they don't take up a huge footprint. They're actually pretty small. Now you're gonna need a little space between the printer and the back wall because the bed does go back, so you need a gap more than what the printer is. But other than that, you can stack 10 of these printers on a 72-inch shelf that goes up 3 high. So literally all you need to run a 10 printer farm is 72 inches wide. That's all you need. So another good thing about the Kobra 4 is you've got multicolor options. You can buy the base unit, like I said, for $170 or $199 depending on when and where you buy it. Although I highly suggest if you're gonna do the 10 print farm thing to take advantage of the sale now and get these things at $1,700 versus $2,000. That's $300 you can save. But if you want to go for the combo, you can get the Ace 2 Pro with the Kobra 4. And honestly, one Ace Pro would be enough to do what you need to do 9 out of 10. But you can always dedicate one machine for like 2 Ace 2 Pros or whatever, and just have one configured for a bunch of colors, whereas all the rest, either they're just single color printers or you got them all set up with the Ace 2 Pro and they're all running 4 colors. Now, a lot of people are calling the Kobra 4 an A1 clone. I don't think it's an A1 clone at all. Now, granted, it has a lot of similar features. I get it. All the way down to the way the nozzle comes undone and the look of the printer. But I mean, if you think about it, how many ways can you make a bed slinger in 2026? I don't think it's as much people wanting to copy the A1 as it is that it's just a good design and it's the way you should build a bed slinger in 2026. I mean, honestly, think about it. How else would you build it? They're all gonna have a little screen on the side. They're all gonna be shaped the same. They're all gonna look the same, and they're all pretty much gonna be the color. It's either gonna be black or the light gray, one of the two. But who knows, maybe they did copy the A1, but either way, it's not a bad thing. People say it like it's a derogatory thing. The A1 style of printer is a really good printer. So even if they did clone it, it's a good thing. That's a really good printer to choose to make a clone of. It doesn't even matter. Nowadays, all printers are really good, and it's really just a matter of choosing options and picking the setup that works for you. I don't even care about the brand name. I could care less what the brand name is as long as the printer has the options I want, it performs, and it does quality. I could care less about all the other stuff. But yeah, so basically you can start a print farm in 2026 for $200 a week. All you have to do, if you don't have all the money up front, save $200 a week. Once a week, take $200 from your check if you can afford that much, and just go buy a printer. And in 10 weeks, you'll have a 10 printer farm that you can create parts on, sell them. You got places like Etsy, eBay, Amazon, all these outlets that you can post your prints on and sell them and make your money back. And if you pick the right prints, then you'll make your money back rather quickly. Now, I would highly suggest spending a little money on marketing and advertising. Get on Facebook. You can have AI help you create an ad campaign, or you can find somebody on Fiverr to help you create an ad campaign and set up your whole Google ads for you, or Meta ads, however you choose to do it. If you're going to do ads, I would suggest Meta ads or Google ads. Both of those are really good. Or if you're on TikTok, you can promote one of your TikToks. It's pretty simple to do that as well. And you don't have to spend a lot of money on ads. You can set a $50 a week budget, maybe like $10 a day will do it. So you set your budget at $10 a day and run that for 7 days, that's $70. And I highly suggest when you first do your ads, don't set it high. You want to set it low. That way you can read the market and determine if you're targeting the right people, the right area, all that good stuff. And then when you see good results, that's when you dump the money in it. And that's when you get the really good traffic, because you're going to have to do marketing. Because think of it like this. Nobody knows you exist. Nobody knows your models exist. If you just make models and post them, chances are you're not going to make many sales. You're going to have to go out there and stand in the middle of the street, waving your hands like, hey, look at me, look at me. That's how you're going to make your sales. And the way you do that is with ads. That's you in the street waving your hands, look at me, look at me. But just posting your models, you're taking a huge risk on people seeing it or not. And until you're known, chances are not many people are going to see it. Now, I've gotten a lot of sales and business doing just organic, and that's great, but I've gotten a lot more doing marketing and advertising. So let's say it's been 10 weeks. You brought a Kobra 4 once a week for 10 weeks, and now you've got 10 printers. Well, what you should have been doing from day one is figuring out what model that you want to use for your print farm. And not just one model. It needs to be many models. You need to have models that target different audiences, different niches, and different styles of some of those. And that way you're not backing yourself into a corner and just pandering to one set of customers. You want to target a wide range of customers, and that's where you're going to make the money. And I don't mean to burst your bubble, but most of your prints, they're not going to do extremely well. You're going to have a lot of prints that do decent. And then every now and then, you're going to run across a print that does phenomenal. And that is where you're going to be able to scale your business from 10 printers to 20 printers to 30 printers. Whenever you get that model, you're going to know it. It's going to stick out like a sore thumb. It's going to beat all the other models in numbers. It's going to sell like crazy, and you're going to lose your mind because you're going to be so busy, because you're going to need more printers to keep up with demand, and you're going to be panicking. But the good news is you can just go online and buy these things on Amazon, and they'll be there the next day usually. And with setup being as easy as it is with the Kobra 4, you can set this thing up in like 10 minutes. So that problem is a good problem to have, and it's super easy to solve. So don't even worry about that. I would more focus on getting your print farm, getting it set up, and then getting the models and putting it in your store or wherever you decide to sell your models. Honestly, the easiest thing to start out with would be Etsy and eBay. There's some other sites out there that you can look up. The easiest outlet to sell your prints starting out is going to be sites like eBay and Etsy. And then later, when you have a little more time, you can set up your Amazon store. Amazon's a little more complex to set up. They want a lot more information from you. And even TikTok now. TikTok, I think, is requiring an LLC. So I would highly recommend, if you have the money, before you get started, set up an LLC. And you might not think you need it. The last thing you want is to sell one of your parts and one of your customers' kids chokes on the part and they want to sue you. So just keep in mind, anything can happen. And the LLC is what protects you personally. So if someone wants to sue you for whatever reason, they can sue the brand, but they can't sue you personally. So please spend the $300 or whatever it costs where you're from and get your LLC. Name it whatever you want to name it, and just get it in place so you're protected, and also so you can get on TikTok Shop, because TikTok is a really good market to sell 3D printed stuff. Now, it's a really volatile market and it changes rapidly, so you have to keep up with the trends and stuff like that, but that'll keep you on your toes and it'll keep the printing a little interesting. So why would I recommend the Kobra 4 over, let's say, an A1 or an A1 Mini, or even the Creality High or the Creality Spark? For me, it boils down to price and quality. For $179, you're getting a 260 millimeter bed that goes up to 100 degrees. The hot end goes up to 300 with easy swappable nozzles. But even as a single color printer, for $170, honestly, you can't beat it. And I haven't seen a bed slinger on the market yet that beats it in price and quality. Not even Anycubic's own Kobra X can beat it. The Kobra X is basically this printer, just more expensive. And I know a lot of people were saying, why would you buy the Kobra 4? But I'm saying, why would you buy the Kobra X? And maybe I just see it a little differently, but this one is way cheaper. And I think some of those people were saying that before the price was released. And I think now with the price out, I'm willing to bet that their stance on that has changed a little bit, because you can get this thing for, like, let's say $170, $199, sub 200, whereas the Kobra X is 400 plus. And you're getting the same build size, you're getting the same nozzle, same bed temp, and they both do multicolor, just in 2 different ways. At that point, it's just pick your poison and which one fits your budget, basically. Because they are basically the same printer, so the Kobra X is going to do the quality just like this one. It's going to be easy to set up just like this one. But again, the difference is going to be in how it delivers the colors. And also, it's going to do a little bit less on the waste side because the cutter on that one is a little lower than this one. So over a period of time, that one's going to be less waste. This one's going to do a little more waste. But on this one, you can add the Ace 2 Pro. That means you can dry your filament while you're printing if you need to. And this one is tuned for TPU. And let me show you why. So if you look on the Kobra 4, right here on the side, it has a tension adjustment screw. And that is a huge deal when it comes to doing TPU. I've done several videos on TPU and I print a ton of flexible filaments. And I even have my own flexible filament called Morphex. I created it because TPU filaments are so hard to print with and I was tired of going through it, so we dove into it and we created Morphex, which starts out as a semi-rigid TPU at 90A, and once extruded it morphs into a super soft 70A, which is a super game changer because it's 90A, so it's pretty easy to print, and then it morphs into a 70A, which makes it super soft, whereas you would never be able to print 70A on most of these printers and do it reliably. It's just super hard to do. But the biggest factor in printing TPU successfully is being able to adjust the tension on the print head, because I can't stress it enough, this tension required to print PLA is never going to be the tension required to print TPU. It's just not the case. You need less tension to print TPU than you do PLA. I say PLA, but any hard filament besides TPU. You can crank the tension screw all the way and those are going to be just fine. Now, can you print TPU with that same setting? Yeah, kinda. But eventually you're going to hit a snag. It's going to curl up. It's going to clog. Eventually you're going to hit a block. So it's always best if you can adjust that tension, turn it down some. That way, the TPU can flow through the head, because the biggest deal with TPU is creating as least amount of tension as possible to the print head. And if you can do that, then you're good. That means no Ace 2 Pro, no PTFE tubes, none of that. Just take the TPU, go straight to the head, adjust the tension, turn it down a little bit, and you'll be good. That's why the Kobra 4 is going to be a TPU printing beast. And it's just a simple tension screw. And that's what does it. It's so simple. I don't know why all these companies don't do it. Now, another really good reason to get the Kobra 4 over the A1 is going to be price, because you can get a Kobra 4 combo for the price of the A1. The A1 is what, $299? The Kobra 4 combo is $299. Whereas you got the A1 combo, that's over $400, making the Kobra 4 combo $120 less than the A1 combo. And it's faster at 600 millimeters a second. It's bigger at 260 millimeters, whereas the A1 is 256. It can do more colors, up to 8 using the Ace 2 Pro, and you can dry your filament while you're printing, whereas the A1 combo you cannot because it has the AMS light and it's open. Now they both got the same AI features, spaghetti detection, foreign object detection, all that, and they both have 720p cameras. Now, one minor detail that I liked about the Kobra 4 is it has dual band Wi-Fi, so you can put it on 2.4 Hertz or you can put it on 5G. Now, even compared to its own brother, the Kobra X, the Kobra 4 combo is over $150 cheaper than the Kobra X combo. So like I said before, some people were saying, why would they create this machine? But honestly, I'm thinking that this one is going to be the better buy, and I'm thinking, why did they even create the Kobra X? So yeah, that's my thoughts on this machine. I think it's a really good machine to start a print farm or just as a first printer. You can't go wrong with a printer that's sub 200 bucks. So I'm going to continue using this. If I find any issues, I'll do an updated short video. So make sure you're subscribed and turn on all notifications. That way it pops up on your feed. And if you get these and decide to do a print farm, let me know. If you need any help, reach out to me through email or join the Discord. And I do respond to emails, I respond to chats, and I do chat in the Discord because I genuinely like to follow along. If you decide to take the journey, I'd like to know how it goes. And if you need help along the way, there's plenty of people in our Discord that are willing to help, and they won't talk crazy to you if you ask a super noob question. We get it all the time. It's not a big deal. That's the whole reason I created the Discord, because I was so tired of toxic communities like Creality's Discord, where if you ask a simple question, even the mods talk to you like you're an idiot. So we don't do that over there. You can ask whatever you want. Everybody's super helpful. And if you run into an issue, let me know and we'll handle it pretty quick. So that's all I have. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you're subscribed, and until next time, stay ready to 3D print. We'll see you in the next one.